Yeah.
So,
All right. And let me DJ this out. All right. All right. Peaceful greetings, folks. I am Cortland Butts, the safety officer for the National Association of Black Scuba Divers. Today, you are joining us for Saturday Scuba Tips, but we're doing it on Thursday because I missed the opportunity this past Saturday of the month. But our presenter was most gracious and allowed me to set up a time for us to do the recording another time. The presentation she is going to do today, we felt like was really relevant to the summit that we have coming up. So we wanted to make sure that we got it done before we came to summit. And of those Saturday scuba tips, on the fourth Saturday of every month, those scuba tips are live, and it's live by Aquacore. And Aquacore is about our STEP objectives: safety, training, education, and professionalism. And this is our way of giving some of those STEP objectives back to the membership, our beloved NABS membership. So typically when we do these, the live Aquacore safety tips, we ask 4 questions. The first one of our presenters, the first one is, what got you interested in scuba diving? What got you interested in NABS? Why did you join Aquacore? And then what is your presentation for the day? All right. Again, what got you interested in diving in the first place? What got you interested in joining NABS? Then the Aquacore, and what's your presentation for the day? Without further ado, I will pass it on to our presenter.
Hello, everybody. Greetings to you. I'm Melody Garrett. I am currently president at Underwater Adventure Seekers. And I will just go ahead and tell you, I got into diving only about 15 years ago. I had always loved the water, always loved snorkeling. I snorkeled for 30 years before I became a diver, and just looked to see what else there was and just wanted to be in the ocean. I noticed people diving, and I said, I think that might be the next step. And I looked into it. I did a try scuba, discovered scuba, and loved it. And then the rest was history. Went on to get certified. I'm here in the DC area. Had a mutual friend who belonged to Underwater Adventure Seekers, who I didn't even know was a diver. I was trying to figure out how to get the connection and how to get certified. So it fell into place from there. Of course, being a part of NABS was very important as a national organization of like minded people. We have chapters here and all over, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to meet people all over the world now because there's chapters internationally. But just to be around, meet other people, go places, and have some common goals and make new friendships. And then Aquacore, I've always been a safety minded person. Safety is always a big concern, staying physically fit, being a good diver, being a responsible diver, and being a responsible buddy. I find to be paramount to diving. And so that kind of naturally falls in place with Aquacore as well, which leads to why I went into the particular topic of two. I'm going to do two topics, try to do them briefly so that you can have this information as a good review or knowledge to some before you go to NABS. One is about shore diving. Bonaire is an excellent place for shore diving, and many people have done it. Some people have not. Just to review for some and new information for others, the safety tips, what's involved with shore diving to have a good, successful dive. And then a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, which I did once before, about using the surface marker buoy. the SMB and the DSMB, the differences between them, and some pearls for using them. So those, I think, are the answers to those questions, Cortland. All right, well, just I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first part, the shore diving, is a PowerPoint presentation, and hopefully I can get on that very readily here. I'm going to share screen. Open pray. Are you seeing that? Can somebody tell me
Not
verbally if it works?
not
Okay,
just yet. We don't see
not
it
see.
yet.
Okay, let's see here.
But I definitely hear you clicking.
What were you seeing?
Well, right now we see you, or I see you, and I see the rest of the participants.
Okay, let me try the share screen once again.
Recording in progress.
I hear sound from your side. Now I see
Yeah,
two
I think
melodies.
it's on twice. Hang on. Sorry.
Miss Sierra, hey,
Can you
welcome.
see now?
Hello.
Not yet. I still see.
I'm going to go back onto the Zoom.
Hey, Mel, I can't even hear you now.
Granville, Anthony's Key Resort. I'll check it out. Mel, you can try the old fix it all. Go out and come back in. We can't hear you anymore, even though your mute is off.
Yeah, this is Frank. Still can't hear.
Hey, Frank. Good hearing your voice. Sierra, I got your message. Yeah. Mel, is it possible if you send the PowerPoint to me, I can run it from my side? We still want to hear you though. We can see you, but we cannot hear you. Yep, Granville, that's a good spot. We know that place well. Also, if you want to try Conch Republic, just a little further south in Isla Morada, Ashley will look out for you. You tell her you know us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Let's try one more time, and then I'll try to send it to you. So I open the share screen, gives me the option. Entire screen.
Does Cortland have to give you permission to share screen since it's his Zoom?
She has it.
Okay.
Can you see anything now?
Just you.
Do you see it?
No, we just see you.
Okay. I'm sending it right now.
Okay. You want to send it to safety officer?
Yeah, tell me that email.
Safety officer at nabsdivers.org.
Okay, I just sent it to your email.
Okay.
I apologize. It looks like it should be working, and I don't know why it isn't.
Why don't you try it one more time while waiting for it to come through? I see it,
Okay.
and I made you co-host. So let me see if that does anything. Give you some more juice.
All right, I'm going to back out of it again, going back into the Zoom.
All right, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
All right, am I sharing?
And now it says that I'm going to stop sharing. It thinks it's sharing, but it obviously wasn't.
All right. For anybody else, do y'all see me sharing?
We actually see you now, Cortland.
See me,
Yep.
but you don't see me sharing anything?
No. No.
All right.
Yes, I saw you sharing, Cortland.
All right, so for those that just see me, Zoom started doing something new.
Here,
You're
Go to
good.
the top
here
tab.
we go.
We see it.
There it is.
Short diving is up.
It wasn't letting you show because it was saying that I was still sharing. But anyway, sorry, I apologize. I don't know what
You're
the
good.
problem is.
We got you. It just gives us some more time to spend together. All right, so you just tell me when to move.
Okay, all righty. So let me move some of this stuff out of my way. So we're going to talk about shore diving. You can go to the next slide. We'll talk about the pros and cons, any specific considerations, how to prepare. Staging is a very important part. Talk about the entry, exit procedures, the emergency plans, what is different and what is not, and then when to actually say no to a shore dive. Next slide. The advantages of shore diving, you're not tied to an alarm clock or set time for a boat dive. The last dive trip I went on, I did some boat dives, but I was pleasantly feeling like I was on vacation when I didn't have to get up at 6:30 to catch an 8 o'clock boat. I could sleep in, have a little breakfast, get out there, do the dive if it's on the resort site or off site. And, there are all different avenues. But to sleep in and have a nice dive and finish my dive about the same time that the boat came back in. So you're not tied to a particular time. There's no boat ride, there's no boat crew. You have the freedom to dive when you're ready. You get some additional diving, some additional bottom time within your profile if it's just a couple of people doing your own thing. Certainly is more economical because there's no charge for the boat. And you can see some incredible dive sites as shore dives, Blue Heron Bridge in Fort Lauderdale, Salt Pier in Bonaire. Next slide. The disadvantages are you may be unfamiliar with particular local dive sites. You might not know the best technique for a particular site. There are physical hazards involved. You've got to cross terrain. You've got to cross different types of water. And there might be some marine life in that area. It definitely requires more physical fitness, I believe, doing shore dives than a boat dive. Boat, you're all packed up, they push you off the boat, you're in. Shore dive, you have to walk to an area, you have to carry your gear. It's more physical. And then the emergency preparedness is a little different because you are somewhat remote if you're off site from the dive operator's site. Next. Physical fitness, physical exertion. Like I said, you got to carry your gear from your car, from the staging area to the edge of the water. You may have to walk up or down some stairs to get in or to get out. You may have to wade through surf. Some of it might be a little bit choppy. And then sometimes you have long surface swims. So these are all physical encounters that you would not normally have if you're doing a boat dive. Next. Do your homework about the dive site in advance. Talk to definitely talk to people at the local dive shop, the operators. They can tell you the best sites. They can tell you the specifics about them. Look on social media. There are frequently remarks about particular sites and experiences from other divers. Figure out the best approach or learn the best approach for entry and exits, what the water conditions are like, including when high tide is. Yeah, when I was growing up, I thought high tide was always 5 o'clock every day. And it wasn't until I was a grown woman and in diving that I realized that is not the case. Vanessa, I think Hagler says I had it confused with it's 5 o'clock happy hour or something, but no. So high tide is different in different locations, and you need to know what time that is and what it looks like, because your entry and your exit points, it might look a little different at a different time of the day. Know the local regulations, areas where dive floats are required, surface markers are required. Consider hiring a local guide or someone to take you for an introductory dive. And that's a really, really good idea in an area you're not familiar with. It certainly adds to the safety and overall enjoyment, because there's a little less stress for you having someone with you who knows the ropes, so to speak. Next slide. Your staging area, this has to be set up. That's where all your gear is going to be. You got to take a look at it, see where you're going to enter, where you're going to exit. Take a look at the terrain. Is it sandy? Does the sandy waters go right to the beach? Are there any rocks, any slippery surfaces, any marine life like sea urchins? And then, of course, you want to study the water conditions, if there's surface, current, or surge. And then the exit tides, same thing. You have to think about that in advance. You have to figure out where you're parking if you drive off the operator site to an area. Where are you going to park? Is the car going to stay dry? And then always you want to make sure a third party, a non-diver person, knows your dive plan and when you expect to return. Next slide. Your gear, everything the same pretty much, but your dive boots have to have some thick soles for traction, for walking across rocks, and anything requiring, obviously foot protection. Open heel fins are best because you can slip them on and off over your boots in the water. A lot of people have fin keeper straps. Those are really nice too, because you need to have your hands free. You want to make sure you have your surface signal and equipment, as you always would, in case there's current, heavy seas, or exhaustion that could occur. A first aid kit should be readily identified in your area where you're going to keep it dry on the shore by your vehicle or by something. Emergency oxygen, your dive flags, marker buoys for boat traffic, and then a cell phone somewhere. So this is all up in the staging area. This area is to stay dry and away from the sand or other elements. Next slide. Staging area, what's there? A tarp or a blanket, something to keep the sand out of your gear. Some people use the back of a pickup truck or a table, or just on the tarp itself. Again, your phone, your keys need to be accessible, but kind of hidden away. First aid for your safety has to be kept dry, and everything safe from theft. Next slide. So here's a picture, a staging area. They're using the back of the truck, and that works quite nicely. Next. Entry, very, very importantly, you want your hands to be free. You have to have your hands free because you're carrying 30, 40 pounds of equipment on your back. And the water, the terrain can be tricky, and you could potentially fall. So you need your hands free in case you need to catch yourself. It's a good idea if you need to steady yourself to your buddy, and then at the same time have your fins ready for when you need to put them on. Next. Entry methods. You do your buddy checks, obviously. Look around for some land references, some land physical navigation points and reference points. And then you look at what is going to be your exit point. It may be the same way you came in, but you also need to kind of consider where an alternative exit point might be in reference to where you're starting out, in case the waters change, or in case of anything, in case you get exhausted, in case of you need to come back early. You need to know what the other area around you looks like and where would be your plan B exit. As I said, you need your hands free for your balance. Something happened there. Okay. Hands free for your balance. Steady yourself with your buddy. You want your mask off, of course, while you're trying to do this. You need to be able to see how to walk and not be obscured by having your mask on. And then what do? Well, when you get in the water, if the water is nice and calm, once you get to about waist or chest high, go ahead and put your fins on and you're ready to sail away. If there's small waves, you can kind of hop over them. Inflate your BCD and swim on your back on the surface until you reach your point where you're going to descend from. It might be a fair distance as a surface swim, and it may not. But once you get those items on, you can just go on your back until everybody's together and ready to go down. If they're moderate waves, you have to balance yourself, and you might have to kind of duck under some of the waves. Decide at what point if the waves are kind of heavy, then you might go ahead and get your gear on and go negative and just go under the waves. If they're large, unexpected waves, it doesn't look right, it looks like rip currents or something, then you should obviously just cancel that dive. So carefully make sure you have enough air to get back for emergencies. If you become exhausted, if you have to change your exit site, you want to make sure you have enough air or enough gas to accommodate any of those circumstances. Next. And on your exit, beware of rip currents, surge, rocky terrain, and you may have to crawl out. You can walk out or crawl out. There's no shame in crawling out, believe me. That gear is heavy. Your legs are not quite steady yet, and it's something about water that's like six inches high on you. But I know when we were in Fiji, like we did shore dives from the resort, and I had to crawl out like 3 times, and the water was only about 6 inches or 8 inches deep. But it's kind of muddy, and you got that grassy stuff, and your legs aren't quite back together because you've been cruising around. And it's a lot easier to crawl out. You have to make sure you have your hands free again as you exit, just as you would for the entry. But crawling out might be the safest thing to do, just so that you don't fall with all that equipment on your back. Okay, I think what's the next slide? I think that's the end. No, yeah, that was the end. That's an old slide. All righty, so that's the end of the presentation about the shore diving. Anybody have any questions or comments about that?
This is Frank. I thought it was an excellent presentation. My question is concerning shore diving at the resort. If we're doing the resort shore diving, is that only accessible by people that are at the resort, or is it kind of, you enter, but it's still kind of semi-public and other people might be able to go from there? And the reason I ask is if we bring equipment down and we leave 1 or 2 things on the beach, if it's just other members that are at the resort, I'm fine with that. But if the public's going to be able to get out there, then I might not want to leave anything on the beach. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. What I can tell you, because we just experienced an event around this, shore diving at the resort that's free is only for the people at the resort. If you are staying off property, you can have access to that shore diving, but you have to pay $500, which includes access to the all-inclusive stuff at the resort and to the diving itself. So anybody that's leaving their stuff there either they are staying at the resort as a resident, or they paid $500 to be there.
Okay, thank you for that. My question dealt more with, since I will be staying at the resort and I plan on doing some shore diving from the resort property. I'm just wondering, like I said, if I leave, take a tarp down there and I leave the tarp and maybe I leave one or two pieces of equipment or something there. I'm just wondering if it's all resort people or people that have paid, that's one thing. But if the public has access to that section of the beach and any Joe Schmo can walk up, then I would not be inclined to really try to leave any type of equipment there. So that's what I was looking at in terms of
So-
an answer.
So Frank, I don't know the specific details of their, Cortland told you some, but if you're diving on the resort property, they are going to have things set up for you very conveniently. You may not have to go far down the beach. They'll have your, tanks and things ready. They will give you good guidance about that because that's in their best interest. One thing I would say is if you mix it up and you do some boat dive and some shore dive, make sure that your dive gear doesn't go sailing off on that boat early in the morning. Let the dive masters know that you're going to be shore diving today to make sure that they pull it off if they set up for you, or it might be a situation where you set up your own. But just make sure your gear doesn't end up on that boat. But the dive operator will make everything convenient. I mean, they should make everything convenient for you to shore dive safely and not worry about any of your gear getting taken.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you for that,
thank you.
Melody. As a matter of fact, they have, I don't think that you'll have need or room to set up a tarp from where they have the entry point. It's so close to the pool and their other amenities that you have to come through the pool to actually get to where the entry point for the diving is. And off to either side are nice places for staging area. To Melody's point, pull your gear off, and you don't have to bring your gear back to your room. They have lockers right there. And I'm pretty sure if you wanted to store some gear in the locker area, you could, if that's your concern. But they don't have like it's the public can't access it as easily. It's really kind of like protected by their amenities. And that's as far as I can speak to that right now, from what I remember.
Okay, thank you. Again, last question. If we use these lockers, do we need to bring like a small lock so we can lock it up if it's going to kind of be down? Again, maybe I need to go look at the website and just see how everything is set up. Or are they just basically open? Again, I've been diving for 20 plus years and have never had any of my equipment taken. So want to stay vigilant, but also, am not too concerned, but there's always a first time. Thank you again.
Way that they're set up, it's one big room with racks where you can hang your stuff. And so you find your rack, you find your hanger, put your stuff up right there, and that's where it is. And then they lock that room up at the end of the day. The room has cage material on the windows, and everybody's gear is locked up in the same place.
Good morning. This is Kim Williams.
Hey, Kim Williams, how are you?
Good, thank you. So she mentioned that you're swimming out on your back to the dive site. That seems like you can't see where you're going. So just explain to me how that's safe to do that, as opposed to I would have thought you at least been snorkeling out to the dive site.
Well, you can do whatever seems more convenient for the time. It depends on how far out you're going. I think I was in Curacao, and a really, really nice shore dive. It was a night dive, in fact, but well, day and night. But if you have to, we had to swim out like a couple hundred yards to the channel entry and exit point, and you can't really see. I mean, if you're snorkeling, you can look up and see it. That's an option for you. But if you have a long ways to go, it just preserves more energy, I think, just on your back. I mean, if you can go out on your back and look over your shoulder every now and then, but it's whatever you prefer. It just expends less energy if you have a long distance to go if you're on your back. That's just it's a personal preference, what you and your team decide to do.
Yeah, thank you for that, Melody. And even if you are snorkeling, if the distance is far away, you're not going to be able to see the target. You'll be able to see, like, most of the time 10, 15 feet in front of you. So you're going to end up having to look up anyway. Swimming on your back is a lot more efficient and creates less drag. So it's easier the way that you cut through the water. But to Melody's point, it's your choice. Either way is more comfortable for you. You can make it out there.
You just want to have as maximum energy when you get there, when you're ready to descend. So yeah, but that's a personal choice. Okay, any other questions about shore diving?
Hi, morning, Melody. Granville here. I just wanted to mention that we all have new tech now. So what's great with planning, I'm a navigator by trade. So when it comes to swimming on your back, like what Cortland was saying, you also have transit, like a reference, whether it's a landmark, you can kind of pick it up if you plan your dive that way. So you can stay on point or know if the current is moving you off target. But with the tech that we have now, like with the Garmin computers, like you can literally see pretty much where your entry point is, where you plan to end up and navigate to it on the surface, which makes it a little easier now. But other than that, just keeping it old school and picking up 2 marks on the land and staying on your back, just to shore up the point that Cortland was mentioning to Kim. It's easier to see where you're planning to end up.
Thank you for that, Granville.
Okay, I guess that takes care of shore diving.
Thank you, Melody. Now, for the next part of your presentation, we're just going to be viewed on you, right? You don't?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me a second to pin you and stop this sharing. All right, spotlight on Melody.
Okay. All right. All righty, so we're going to talk about surface marker buoys and delayed surface marker buoys. I've been asked several times, and I know it gets confusing for some. Really, I want to tell you what is the difference between the two and when are each one used preferably, okay? So here's an example of, this is a surface marker buoy, the Dan one, and this is a delayed surface marker buoy. So how do you remember which is which? This one has a reel, it's smaller. I think of delayed surface marker buoy, DSMB. Delayed means something happens after something. So delayed, there are 2 things happening, okay? One is you're deploying the marker buoy while you're still underwater. And then the second thing that happens is you're going to come up later. So that makes a delayed response. With the regular surface marker buoy, this is deployed after you're on top of the water. There's just one event that happens. So delayed means there's 2 events. The regular surface marker means that there's 1 event. So if you can kind of think of it that way, that will help to make the difference. Well, when do we use each one? Surface marker buoy, I think we're all pretty familiar with. They come with several components. has a mirror in it. It has a whistle in it. And it also has usually comes with some type of visual aid. Dan says that we should have 4 things. He said you should have a service marker buoy, you need a visual aid, you need an audible aid, and you need your mirror. So many of these actually come with in those 3 other components inside this little mesh package here. This is used after you finish your dive, and now you've done your safety stop and you're on the surface waiting to be picked up, waiting to be found, waiting for the rest of your team, but waiting for something, okay? After you're on above water, you deploy this device. The delayed surface marker buoy, as I said, you deploy this while you're still underwater. And I'm just gonna disconnect this for ease right now. Here we go. So when would you deploy this while you're still underwater? There are a couple conditions specific, okay? One, very easily, is if you are doing we lost my words. If you're doing a
Drift dive.
drift dive, good gosh, thank you. If you're doing a drift dive, someone, and hopefully you, will have a DSMB. Why? Because it comes on a line. The line can be 100, 130, 40 feet long, whatever you choose. But when you're on a drift dive, no matter how deep, you can be 85 feet doing a drift dive and deploy this device. The boat can track you from where you start along the entire dive until you're ready and stop at your pickup point. He can follow behind and know where you are at all times. Okay, so number 1, drift dives, you need to have one of these. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're 80 feet, 100 feet, 20 feet, it doesn't matter. You will make it custom, the line custom to where you are. Another time you would use this is if you have to unexpectedly come up sooner than you planned. You can deploy this while you're doing your safety stop so that the boat can know and be ready. The whole plan and goal is the boat would be ready for you by the time you come up, your boat is there. So he can tell where you are if you end up coming up or preparing to come up before you had planned. And then another time you want to use this is if you're in an area and before you come up, before you totally ascend, in an area where there's a lot of boat traffic. Most of them will have some sign on it says diver below or something. Lets the boat traffic know that there is a diver in the area, and hopefully they will be more careful about that. So those are the 3 times you want to put this up ahead of time, okay? If you're on a drift dive, the boat is following you, the boat can find you at all times. If you are going to end up coming up earlier at a different location than you had planned, you want to deploy it during your safety stop. That 3-minute, 5-minute safety stop, the boat will see this and be there for you in the ideal situation, be there for you when you do come up. And then the 3rd time, as I said, it might be a planned end of the dive, but if there's boat traffic in the area, you can put this up in advance so that the boat traffic will know and hopefully will go around. So there are many commonalities between these 2 devices, and I'm just going to show you on here. So this is a very old one of mine. I just got a new one. You can see how it starts to fade. And when you take care of these things and you rinse them out, be careful because they will bleed in whatever area they're drying in. But anyway, so the SMB and the DSMB virtually are many, many similarities, okay? I'll tell you the similarities and the differences. So starting with, this is your SMB. These can be anywhere from, they're usually about 6 inches wide and anywhere from 6 to 10 feet long, okay? They're much bigger than the DSMBs. All right, so there has a reflective marker on both sides, all the way up and down. If you're on the surface of the water, you can actually shine a flashlight on this at night or something, and this whole area will reflect for someone to be able to see you, okay? The DSMB does not have that, but this is the one, the SMB. It has a valve here. This is where you deflate and inflate it from. Has a collar that locks. So you can see that. So why do we use that? You use this when you retract it to put air in it. Let it go. And when you have all your air in, you just close that collar off to lock it into place so that the air can't escape from it. It locks, you can't retract it anymore. It has an exhaust valve, a pop-off valve on it. I already mentioned to you the compartment that has your accessory gear in it. At the very tip of it here, when it's deployed, you're on the surface of the water. This part here is to put another device on it. It could be a strobe, it could be a flashlight, it could be some type of a chemical light. If you're in the water, particularly at nighttime, and you're trying to be found, they can hang from the top off of this device. That is exactly what that is for, okay? So those are the components. The DSMB has the same, and I'll show you that in more detail. I will say one thing about the other components that are in your SMB. They're there for your safety, obviously. If you think you're going to need them, you need to have it. Your whistle, for example, needs to be on you, clipped somewhere where you can get to it easily. If something goes by, you know, a vessel or a person or someone goes by, or airplane for that matter, you want to be able to capture their attention very quickly. I will tell you, I had my SMB for probably 3 or 4 years before I ever opened the compartment to see what was in it. And I guess I didn't want to know what was in it. I knew it was for emergencies. I thought that if you don't know what's in there, you'll never need to use it. Obviously, that's silly. But when I finally opened, I did understand what those devices were. And I'm going to just say one thing about this mirror. This mirror will get the attention of someone from anywhere from 2 to 11 miles away. So an airplane can spot you. It has instructions on the back exactly how to use it. You just basically, you target your hand, you put the mirror of the sun behind you, and then you use it like a viewfinder, and you shine the light exactly on the boat or whatever, airplane, whatever it is you want. It has the instructions. It's not hard to do, but it does take practice. It's something very easy to practice on land, and I suggest that everyone does that. So I'm going to tell you now a little bit more about the DSMB. It's made very similarly, and it has the same pop-off valves. It has the same inflation valve. Okay, this one says diver below, to let boat traffic or anyone know that there is a diver down there. Okay, this is the only reflective type of tool that's in here, and you could put a chemical light or something to fit down inside of this part of it. All right, one of the differences between the two, the DSMB has a weighted magnets down at the bottom here, or weights, I should say. And this is to make sure that it stays upright, okay? It won't turn upside down. The weights keep it in the proper orientation. When you're going to fill either one of these, let me just say, everyone's a little different. Some of them have a blind end for the SMB and DSMB. Some have a blind end that you can only deflate it with a low pressure device or manually. Some of them will have a full opening where you could put your octopus or, what you'd be using your octopus. You could put your octopus at the mouth of the device to let the air in. Remember, if you do that, you have to hold it, obviously, hold it in this direction so that the air goes up. But what you never want to do is you do not want to stick your octopus into here, okay? If you stick your octopus into that, if it gets caught, it's going to pull you up. So you don't want anything caught up in there. You don't want yourself, and you don't want your breathing devices to get caught. So put it there. This can be inflated. This is the DSMB I'm talking about now. It can be inflated 3 different ways. Okay, you can inflate it from your octopus, like I just said. You can manually inflate it. And this has the same retractable collar. You can blow this up in about 4 breaths, okay, if you needed to do that. And then you can also inflate it from your low pressure device, excuse me, your low pressure inflator hose, in which case you would retract one, put this up to it. It doesn't fit in, it doesn't plug in, it doesn't screw in, but both have to be retracted at the same time and let the air flow into it. Once you release this, the air won't go in anymore. And this collar, once again, you can lock it into place, okay? So I'm gonna just very quickly blow this out. The other thing is you want to, when you plan to use it, you absolutely do not want to fill it with air, okay? The deeper you are, the less air you need in it. But you don't need more than, I don't think you ever need to put more than about half full, because it's going to expand, as you know, as it goes up, and you don't want it to overinflate. So coming back to your reel, when you're ready to deploy it, you can keep this somewhere. Both of these devices obviously need to be kept someplace that you can get to them very quickly. I usually will put, if I use a DSMB, I usually put in my jacket pocket, but I make sure I can reach it and get to it. The SMB, I always keep it on the outside of my left lower hip area. But anyway, so once you're ready for this device, so it starts off, it's hooked here. I'll show you quickly the way you keep it in control, because this will become a problem. When you disconnect the two, if you tuck, when you store it, if you tuck the line, if you have 100 feet or 100 feet of reel, this can get away from you very quickly. And using this and deploying, I really recommend people practice it on land, play with it at the table, practice it in the quarry or somewhere where you can get more proficient with it, because it's cumbersome. There's a lot going on. Things can get away. This clip, I've lost 2 of these before. So when you unclip the two, either hook it onto the reel, or hook it on, probably the best thing is just hook it onto your BCD somewhere where you can get it. You may not even need it again, but hook it somewhere where it's out of your hands. It will, I guarantee you, it'll fall. If this falls, you're in trouble, because you can drop 100 feet. So once we have this line, as I said, when you're not using it, you can thread it through there. And practice it, because it's not easy when you have on gloves either. But you can thread it through and it locks itself in place, okay? Now when you're ready to use it, you have to separate it. And what I've done to this line is I've added a little loop here so that when I'm ready to separate it, I just pull on this and it pulls the line back out. This is the part that's going to hook. Into your DSMB, okay? So when you're ready to put this on, before you do anything else, you want to make sure that you're neutrally buoying, okay? Make sure you're in control, you're not struggling about your buoyancy. When I'm ready to deploy this or inflate it, I will make myself a little bit negative, because once I start adding a little air in it, it's going to make me want to come up. So I make myself a little bit negative when I'm ready to inflate this, okay? The other thing I do is, because I've used this several times before, is it is cumbersome and it is easy, especially if you're on a surface, a safety stop, and you're only about 15 feet deep or so. I will go ahead and give myself a good 2-minute safety stop before I even inflate it. I want to make sure if for some reason I get pulled up, I've had at least 2, maybe 3 minutes. I mean, Dan says as we get older, we should probably be doing a 5-minute safety stop anyway. So I give myself a good 2, maybe 3 minutes before I deploy this. And then I'll just stay down a couple more minutes. So you want to make sure, like I said, that it is not attached to you. You want to look up and make sure it's not going to bump into something above you. Hold it out away from you. This is clipped in. This is clipped in. And now your only thing you have to really, really control is this reel. Keep a finger on it so it doesn't get away. This is neutrally buoyant. It's not going to get, don't worry if you drop this, it's not going to get away from you at all. Okay. So now you're ready to deploy it. I don't have my tank here, so I'm going to do it. And once you get a 2 or 3 breaths in it or a little bit of air, it's going to start to go up. It's going to start to want to inflate. You want to make sure you have your buoyancy. The magnets will keep it in control and it'll start to go up. Once it goes up to where you want it to be, and you hold the reel like this and let it slide. Don't really put your fingers all the way through. You want to get it caught. But on the sides, let it in a controlled fashion. Some people will use the clip to help to control the rate that it's going up like that. You know, that's fine too. But once it hits the surface, whether it's 15 feet, 80 feet or whatever, then the line won't be taut anymore. And that's when you know it's on the surface. So once it's at the surface, you want to pull it a little bit to make it taut so that it stands up, not laying flat on the water, but that it stands up. And after you've done that, you got the reel where you got it at the surface, you're doing your extra 2 or 3 minutes safety, or you're doing the drift dive or what, you know, drift dive, but you can't do it quite as well. And there's another spool, a different reel that you would actually use, has a handle on it if you're doing a drift dive, would be better if you do a lot of those. But anyway, once you say it's at the surface where you want it to be, you can clip this around a couple times, and then you can bring this back through the little eyelet there, as I showed you earlier. Get it back through the little eyelet. You have to find an area that has enough space in it. And once you do this, it's locked in. The reel won't get away from you anymore, and it can just hang down. It can hang right in front of you. You don't even have to hold it. I don't recommend you necessarily do that, but this will be a lock safe situation. Once you're ready to come up all the way to the surface, then you'll unclip it and you'll just reel it in the rest of the way. I'll say something about maintenance of these devices. We don't use them often. You have to train and practice, particularly with this. It's a lot going on. You almost feel like you need to be an octopus, have several hands to handle and keep things from getting away from you. But the more you practice it, the more comfortable you'll be with it. And when you clean your gear, you know, we finish a dive, we clean our BCD and our regulator, and we do all that stuff. And sometimes you might be inclined to, you say, okay, well, I didn't use my BCD. So, you know, just like dunk it in the thing and put it out somewhere to dry. Remember I said it will bleed, but you need to unfold it and inflate it and let it dry out properly. And you need to check it regularly. Make sure that your those valves work properly. You want to make sure the seams aren't coming apart, because, you know, the things that we don't use, even with our mask, our rescue mask, you know, we don't use those things. But we have to clean them and dry them and check them, because they will dry rot. They will get salt dried up in the valves. And when you need it to work, it won't work. So we have to care for them. Even though we may not have to use it, they're still critically important parts. I will show you one other thing about the reel. When you buy your reel, like I said, it can be however many feet, 100 feet, 130 feet or whatever. But just know, you know, based on the kind of diving that you're going to do, what size that you'll need. So when you first get it, this was, I think, 130 feet or so. And I cut it down to 100, just whacked off 30 feet. When you set it up, let's show you one. When you set it up for use, what I did was I took the blind end of it, and then I took it down about, say about 12 or 13 inches or so, maybe a little bit longer, and double it, and just make a knot here to double it. Just a simple knot. You don't want it to ever get loosened, but you can put a knot in it there. And then I put a second knot for insurance. I call it the insurance knot. Okay, so that's knotted. What is this for? This is when you get ready to use it. You're going to bring your device. The other one's inflated, so I'm just pretending this is my DSMB. You're going to put it through here when you hook it together so that it's attached. So you want that to be kind of big, okay? You want to also put another knot just for ease at the end of it, the tip. And this is so that you can get your finger through it or do things with your finger. And you want to make it big enough so that you can work with gloves. You know, we have 7mm gloves on. You want to make sure you can get your finger through that loop, okay, to handle the line. The other thing you want to do that makes it easy, I showed you that little loop in it, midways. This is just to help you to be able to get it in and out of that spool. So you end up with one that looks something like this. This isn't quite as long as the other one is. Change here. So the other one that you make to get it from the reel is going to be just one side of the line, not both sides. And what you end up with is something that looks exactly like this. So this whole part is what you're going to fit your DSMB through when you're ready to hook it up, okay? This is the part that allows you to pull it out when you're ready to use it. And this is the part that would allow you to work with it with gloves on. So that's a lot going on. It's a skinny version of it. I hope you were able to mainly understand the differences between the two devices, which one is used at which time, how to care for them, how to deflate them properly, other safety devices, signaling devices, how they're used. And I think that is about it. Are there any questions or comments about it?
Thank you, Melody. That was a beautiful presentation. We have one person asking a question from iPhone, and they just wrote, I have a question. iPhone, are you still here?
Not there.
I think they're there. They're just taking some time to come off.
Okay.
This is Frank. I'm not the iPhone, but a separate question. For the shore diving, will the dive shop, if we're going out as a group, have any of the surface markers available for us to use? I have a deployable SMB, but I don't have one that just sits on the soft surface with a dive flag to let people know divers are down there. Is that something we can get from the dive shop, or would they be looking for us to bring something like that?
Well, what I would offer is when you leave from the resort, they do have they hadn't told us that we needed a diver down surface marker buoy because it's not in the boating lane. But if you want one, I'm pretty sure that you could ask for one. To Melody's point, both of the pieces that she showed was They're very similar. And even for us in Aquacore, Melody, hold up the red one that you had a little bit earlier. That one. We actually use that as a DSMB only because with Dan, because they're laid out for dive pros, the weight that Melody was talking, you see that mesh that she's showing on the bottom part? That's typically what that holds the mirror, the whistle, but it also holds weight so that if we drop it in there, it forces it to stand up. So we can use it in different ways for your question. I'm pretty sure the dive shop has, I want to show you a picture. They have this for you to go out with. They have that available for you to go out with. However, when I was there, nobody used those coming from the resort, even on night dives. They just went.
So they may be in a protected area, Cortland, is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I hesitated to say protective because they told us just to go, and people were not using the marker buoys that were directly in front of the resort. And I'm clear that boats aren't allowed over there, but I definitely saw some people cutting some jet skis over there. So I would, and they probably weren't supposed to do it. All right. So it's off key, but to be on the safe side, I would definitely use a marker buoy, just if it's available, just for extra protection.
Somebody said they're planning on renting all their equipment.
Is there a mouthpiece I can purchase and replace for the? Yeah, go ahead and purchase it here and bring a zip tie. I'm pretty sure they'll have a zip tie there, but I would purchase it here before I leave and have it switched out.
So let me just emphasize a couple other points. Make sure everybody's familiar with your SMB and the DSMB, what the inflation end is like. Some of them have a blind end. They're very different. I mean, they may look the same, but some are very different. Some have a blind end that you couldn't put your octopus up to. You have to either do it by mouth or with your low pressure inflator hose. And some have an open end so that you could put your octopus next to it, not in it, but next to it. Some of these, this was my replacement. It did not come with any mirror or whistle or anything.
What?
Yeah, I thought I was getting a good price. And I see why it was a good price, because it did not have those other components in it. But, I already had them. And so, that was that. But the point of it is to be sure that you understand and know what you have. And if you buy this reel, if you get one of these reels, make sure you, when you first get it, cut it off to the length. If it's 130, if you're recreational diving, you're probably not going to need that much. I cut mine down to 100. I just whacked off 30. Okay. And when you put it together, some people will actually choose to put some kind of marker on it at 15 feet or at 20 feet, so that when you're ready to do your safety stop at 20 feet, you've got a marker there already that shows you. It's like, okay, here's 20 feet. I'm gonna hold it and make sure that when it gets 20 feet or 15 feet that I have it under control. Some people mark it every 10 or 20 feet if there are 30, depending on what kind of diving you're doing. But it's probably not a bad idea to mark it at about 15 or 20 feet. But the key is to make sure, if you might need to, if you're like me, make yourself a little bit negative while you're deploying it, because it will tend very readily while you're maneuvering it and before you realize that you could start to come up. And if you're at 15 feet, you don't have far to go before we get to, I call the point of no return. So.
Cortland, can I make a quick comment?
Yes.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for doing this, Melody. I've been diving for a long time. And the key to this, if nothing else, know your equipment. I got a unique color equipment. I found a pretty SMB to match, and I never had to use it because I do a lot of boat diving, different resorts around the world and the like. But then it came that day that I needed to use it. Didn't even realize that I would have to orally inflate. I had a reel, but I had to orally inflate it, and I was at depth. So that is fun to learn in a unique situation already, how to keep your octopus, take a breath, blow into this thing, go back to the octopus. You know, if you guys learn nothing else, just know your own gear. And I kept that SMB for years just because it matched my gear. You will see I will be mismatched at NABS because I took my cute pretty one and put it aside, because now when you're out here, I'm doing a lot more diving in Florida. There is a ton of boat traffic. You need to deploy at depth. So everything you said was very, very important. But take your gear out, unroll it, play with it, inflate it, know if you can use your octo or not, or if you have to figure out how to oral inflate. And if you have to oral inflate at depth, I highly suggest you practice that in the pool or in shallow water before you are already in an emergency and now you're trying to deploy at depth. Thank God, everything went well, but I'm learning and handling an emergency all at the same time. So that's my just learn from my mistakes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That is so, so true. And if you get in that situation, because we practice it, we practice in the pool and Corey and all that good stuff. But if the main thing to remember is don't panic and take your time with your breathing. Don't panic. Get your breath, your breath, and you exhale it into there. And then get your breath. You don't want to take too long because this is constantly inflating and it's going to start pulling you up. But just try to keep your breathing under control. Understand what you're doing at every step and stage, and it will help to take some of that panic away. But you definitely should practice. You don't even have to be in the water to practice the mechanics of doing this stuff. That was a good comment. Thank you.
I agree. I'm glad somebody's speaking from experience to tell y'all, please practice. And thank you, Melody, for not making it complicated, where you can actually practice a lot of these mechanics right here on land. But as I'm sure Janet found out, when that reel starts pulling away from you while you're underwater, Melody said a little bit earlier, that's right when, if you're going to drop it, that's when it happens. So you might want to get somewhere to practice that. All right. If I have any more questions. Well, Melody, I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you for your grace. This is definitely recorded. I'm going to grab this link as soon as they render the video. I'm going to give it to Jennifer to send out to all of the membership, and we're going to have it before we go to Summit.
All right. Well, it was my pleasure. I hope it was useful information.
It was. I have to say, I really appreciate you taking the time to show the knots too. Like that was
your favorite part.
That was really important. Like, because some people would ask, why do you have two holes at the end? But to your point, it's because we're wearing gloves, and you want to bet it. Like, it's hard if you're wearing a 7mm glove and you got to pinch the end of that and try to handle it. That loop is a nice little hook to go ahead and grab onto. It works really well.
I agree. Thank you all.
I appreciate you, Melody. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Quick question. What are the dates you guys are headed to Bonaire again?
November 1st through 8th.
Oh man, I wish I could make it. Right. And just wanted to extend like an open invitation. I have some of my dive crew is from Jamaica. That's where I'm from. And just letting you guys know, if anybody's ever heading that way, we do some good diving in Port Antonio with Lady Godiver. And so I'm between the both. I mean, I do a lot of diving there when I have the free time, as well as in the Keys here, besides travel dives. So you guys feel free to reach out if anybody's heading that way.
You said to Jamaica?
Jamaica, Port Antonio.
Port Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah, I helped them sink an old Coast Guard vessel in the sanctuary there. So that actually was a huge improvement in terms of just habitat and fish life. So we have there's a little wreck there now too. Not sure if any of you guys have done any diving in Port Antonio before.
No, I haven't.
No? All right. Well, feel free
And
to
I
reach
appreciate
out.
the invitation.
Plan to.
Let's say again.
I said I appreciate the invitation.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Check
man.
it out.
Definitely.
And I said, no, have not done diving there, but I plan to now.
All right. Well, you have a contact, so just reach out. Let me know when you guys are ready. I'll be definitely joining you.
And I like that Lady Godiva. Very
Lady,
catchy.
yeah, lady, like Lady Godiva, Lady G Diver.
Right. Oh, Lady Godiva. That's
Yeah,
right.
Lady
Okay.
Good, yeah, like good, Lady Godiva. And that's Jan Lee. She's been probably teaching for about 50 years, still diving. Yeah.
On the Lady Godiva, do y'all do the
You're breaking up. Say again.
Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I found it. All right, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, folks. We are gifting you some time back. And like I said, I'll send out this link as soon as I can. Thank you again, Melody. You are greatly appreciated.
Quite welcome. You all have a good day.
All right. You too, Melody.
From now on, I'm going to always send a PowerPoint in advance. That's my lesson. That's what I learned today. Just send it for insurance. All right. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.